old to the new, still a B-boy. Too old for the school, still a B-boy. East Coast to the West, B-boys worldwide, we supposed to be black.
What's up, everyone? This is MCAK. You're hearing the very first of hopefully many interviews on Still a B-Boy, a hip-hop podcast. As my very first interview, this is a man I met in 1997. In 1998, we started working together. And besides myself, he's been on the most songs in 101st Airbourne out of anyone in the world. Over 20 years in the game, multiple projects. My right-hand man, you might know him as the Hurricane, Trooper number 2, Kevin Coolwater. Ladies and gentlemen, Kane.
What up, everybody? What up? What up?
So I'm going to take you all the way to the beginning because these are things that interest me. But do you remember your earliest memory of hip hop? First time you heard hip hop?
I do. I was at the roller skating rink, and I had never it was Mama Said Knock You Out by LL Cool J. And I had never, heard anything like that before. And these guys were breakdancing. They had like this little dance floor that these guys were breakdancing on. And at that time in my life, I was into rock music. I had the mullet haircut.
Oh shit!
Or I wore my parents took me to a lot of drag races. Okay. So I had the drag race, car number 54 or whatever shirts. And I had all that shit. And I heard that and I was like, no, like that's where it's at.
Right.
I like that. And I had a buddy, Johnny was his name. And he I was like, no, you gotta check out this is new music, rap music. And you gotta check this out. He was like, no. And I was like, no, I like this. And his older brother told him, he's like, the rappers get all the chicks. And that's what turned him on to rap music. He was like, and the next time I got my hair cut, I cut it off. I put lines on the side of my head. I did the whole thing. And I never looked back. I loved hip hop from that day.
I think we need a picture of the mullet Kane. That could be the cover of your next album.
It should. I think it was like my 4th grade. I wonder if my mom has it anywhere, like my 4th grade picture or something. I had it.
From mullet to MC. That could be a project. Do you remember the first album you bought with your own money? First one that you went out and sought and bought? Or one of the first?
Money. Well, so I would help my dad. My dad was a roofer, and I'd help him on side jobs. And he'd pay me like, I don't know, I'd make like $20 for working all day or whatever. And there was Specs by our house. I don't know, if anybody knows the record store Specs. It was big in South Florida.
Yeah. And
I was there with my mom, and I really wanted Tupac's album, that Strictly album.
Yeah.
And I snuck it in with her purchase. I was like, I'll pay for it, because she was not letting me listen to parental advisory.
Right.
I had to take the price tag and cover up the parental advisory thing, and I had to be real sneaky about it. Mom, if you're listening, but
it didn't work.
Yeah. So yeah, I snuck it in with some of her purchases. I paid for it, and yeah, that was the first one I ever bought.
I had a cousin who I was really into Ice-T, and I got him into the OG tape, and it had the lyrics inside. And his mom took the inside and went through every lyric and took a Sharpie and crossed off all the swear words. He couldn't even read the goddamn swearing in it.
You're just gonna listen to it.
Yeah, I never understood the point, because he could still listen to it. But whatever.
I got in so much trouble playing this stuff. I'd play it. My mom would come in my room and, you can't play that, blah, blah, blah. So I'd walk around with my Walkman and my headphones on. What are you listening to? And I'd have to make up something. And sometimes she'd be like, no, let me see it. Let me listen to it. And then I'd get in trouble and I'd get the thing taken away from me. Right. Yeah. I did a lot of dubbing tapes. you know,
Yeah, we
with
all did
friends
back
that
then. Yeah.
with friends that were able to, you know, go buy this stuff. And I'd be like, oh no, I got a blank tape. So I'd have my mom buy me all these blank tapes and I'd just dub them off of that. And
Hmm.
then I got a lot of like the edited versions because I'd keep a blank tape in my radio and just have 99 Jams was the station down there. And I would run into the room when I'd hear the song I would want to get, hit record, and sometimes I only got like the second two verses of it. And
And the damn DJ talks over the last part.
right, right.
So you're originally from South Florida, and I want to bring up a group that a lot of people probably don't even know the group. They might know the main guy from it, but doesn't get enough recognition is Poison Clan. Now,
Oh yeah,
I can remember peeping out Poison Clan the first time because they were on Luke Records. And of
yeah,
course, you know, shit, all the young kids were listening to Two Live Crew if they could, because
sure.
there was a lot of cussing. So I remember hearing JT Money and the Poison Clan, and man, I was really impressed because to me at that time, early 90s, when I thought of the South, especially Florida, it was just pure booty bass music,
Right.
all in response, if you believe in having sex. But this
Right.
JT Money not only could flow, but he was a great storyteller.
Yeah,
I'm sure you were hip on Poison Clan early on once you started
yeah,
getting
yeah,
into them. And
yeah. No, they did. Host Stories was one of the best like storytelling songs.
mhm,
Yeah, it's raunchy like the whole Two Live Crew thing
sure.
was, but he did Host Stories Part One on an album, and then Host Stories Part Two on one, and it's pretty funny. Yeah, I remember listening to that, just laughing when I was a kid because like I wasn't able to say all that stuff. And
Sure, right. You
yeah,
can live through the rappers.
right, right.
So when you were a teenager, you made the move to Wisconsin. What year was that?
95. August, August or September of 95. Because I turned 15 in October. So I moved here when I was just
15.
right around 15. Yeah.
So you spent the first 15 years South Florida, and then you end up in Northeast Wisconsin. Talk about a polar opposite. Was that the first time you were in snow? Was after the move?
No. I would when I was a kid, I would go and see my aunt, and she lived up in Connecticut.
Uh,
So I'd fly up there, and I was able to see snow then.
mhm.
But yeah, it was the first time ever living in snow. I was
Right.
always able to go home and go back.
Right.
But yeah, it was. I remember. I don't know. Second. No. Yeah, probably second month I was up here, and I had my mom. I had to walk to school,
Right.
and it was a couple miles, mile and a half or something. It was a whole other side of Plymouth, though. Plymouth isn't that big, but it was completely on the other
Yeah,
side.
I
of Plymouth.
remember where you lived. That is a long
Right.
walk, actually. Yeah.
Right. And I woke her up in the morning. I was like, Mom, can you take me to school? She was like, No, you can walk. And I was like, Mom, it's 20 degrees outside. And she was like, That's fine, you can walk. And I was like, No, 20, 20 degrees. Like, she made my ass walk to school though. I bundled up and walked to school. I was so mad. I was like, You moved me across this country to this 10,000 people town. I was so mad. I was so mad. But you know, it was all for the better. You know, I've met you, done
Right.
awesome things. You know, met lifelong friends. You know, my wife. I have 2 kids now. Like it's fantastic. I'm glad we moved now in my life.
Right. Right.
I'm also glad I moved to Madison away from Plymouth. Also,
Yeah, it's
'cause
kind of small town shit. Yeah.
yeah, I wasn't really a big fan of that.
So, I believe it was 1997. I would have been 18, and during the last few years of my high school, I worked at Hardee's in the kitchen,
Yeah,
and I had worked at another Hardee's, but then that Hardee's shut down, and I went to the Plymouth one because I was living in Sheboygan and 10 minutes away or whatever.
yeah,
and that's when I first met you. And I don't know if I ever told you this, I may have, but the story of when I first met you and what happened right after I met you that you might not even know about. But so I don't know if you remember, but at Hardy's, they had that little break room in the back, and I had a CD player back there. And I'd
No, it was tapes.
break, I'd always be playing. Was it tapes?
Yeah, no,
Tape
you made
CDs or whatever.
you made mixtapes.
I can remember playing
Mixtapes
shit back there.
Yeah,
Which in retrospect, I'm back there bumping NWA and shit in the kitchen.
yeah, whatever. It was
Whatever.
hardest. It was
But
hardest.
but you had, it was either first or second time I met you, and like you had done your shift and left, and I went back on break, and I remember it was an MC8 album that I had been listening to, and I wanted to start it, and nothing happened, so I opened and it was gone. It wasn't in there. So you had just walked out of that break room like a minute before I went back there. So I'm like, that new motherfucker stole my MC8 CD. I'm pissed, right? I'm acting stupid, you know, because I'm 18.
Yeah.
And so I'm all pissed at you, like, that punk motherfucker, when he comes next time, I'm going to do this and do this and do this. And then the manager, I don't remember her name, it turned out she had taken it out, put it in the case, and put it in my jacket because she had put something else in. So my first impression was I wanted to whip your ass for stealing my MC8 CD, but you didn't.
I'm not a stealer.
It's just funny that that was my first impression, and then we ended up being like best friends.
Right.
So
No, I remember going back there one day because I could smoke back there. Like they didn't care that I was underage. I go, you know, smoke in the break room on break. And they had that tape deck back there, radio back there. And I was like, oh, what's in here? And it was like it was a mixtape. It didn't have, it might have had some writing on it. You might have wrote something on it.
Right.
I was like, what the fuck is that? And I played it and I was like, oh, I know this song. And the next song came on. And I was like, oh, I don't know this song, but the song after that I knew. And I was like, this is dope. So I'd go back there on my break and whatever you had in there at the time, I would play. I was like, this is sweet.
Oh, I made mixtapes like crazy. And I'd be passing them out to people because I just felt like I needed, the world needs to know about this movement called hip hop. I mean, if you don't know about it, you got to fucking listen.
Right.
So 96, I put out my first album, but then I was trying to rack my brain, and I don't remember, maybe you will, exactly how you first got on. So my second album, Think Before You Act, I did in 98, and you were on a handful of songs.
Yeah.
I don't remember the conversation. If I just said, you know, how it worked. Do you remember how you first started rapping with me?
So let me think for a minute. So I know we started talking about, maybe we started talking about the tapes that you had. And I was like, that's dope. You know, I like this song, but who's that guy? And you were telling me who they were and you knew all about it. And we started to connect on that level. And you're like, I'm a rapper. And I've, you know, put out an album and I'm going to put out another album. And I said, well, I've written rhymes for a while, you know, and I would just, when I was in school and I was bored, I'd, you know, jot something down and talk about the kid sitting in front of me and the color of his shirt, you know, 2 lines at a time, dumb stuff, just not paying attention to the teacher, which I should have been doing. And my kid's never watching this, so I was a model student. If he ever watches it, he should be too. So I was like, yeah, I've written some stuff before. And you're like, you ever think about rapping? I was like, no, never have. And you invited me over to your mom's house. And that's where it started. We went down in the basement, and I didn't have anything prepared. I didn't know what I was doing,
Hmm.
and I think you wrote some stuff for me,
Right. I think so. Yeah.
and we tried it out, and it was working. So we just continued and continued, and shit. Now it's what, 20,
Almost
25 years
25 years. Right. Right.
later.
So we did that, and then I moved to a trailer, and you were still in high school, but you would skip school all the time and come over.
Right. My
And
son's not watching this.
oh yeah, yeah, see, right. How'd you graduate, man? You were at my house all the time.
Barely, barely.
So we then did a group album, We Wicked, and it was like you would skip school to come record, or you'd skip school to come play NBA Live 97.
Yeah.
And that's when we really, not just musically, but I think that's when we really got tight,
Yeah.
not only the music, but just as friends.
Yeah.
I mean, great memories, playing Tekken and NBA
Oh,
Live
man.
and shit.
Yeah. No, going to ICP shows, and like I had never heard of ICP or anything
Mhm.
like that. And that was way before
They blew
like
up, yeah.
anybody had ever heard of. I think like Ringmaster had just come out or something.
Right.
And oh no,
Little
Malenko
Bach.
Jessica.
Well, at this timeline, it would have been Malenko, but the
Yeah.
first time I probably put you on to him was Riddlebox era
Yeah.
ish. Yeah.
Yeah, and like we're going to all their shows, and you're getting all the rare stuff, and like I remember that. That
Yeah.
was cool.
So then I had gone off, we had done We Wicked, and then I did some solo stuff, and then I hooked up with Slang and did Rearranged, and you came back into the fold, I want to say around 2001, 2002, and that's when I said, man, I gotta get you back in the lab. Things have changed. I don't have a home studio with a glorified karaoke machine no more. I'm in a studio. And I'm
Yeah.
sure I played you like rearranged shit. And I'm like, I'm taking it to the next level. You need to, come back and do this again.
Yeah.
And that's when we made the Hurricane album. What do you remember from that? I remember a lot from those sessions. I know that was probably if I remember right, we did tons of like all night into the early morning sessions.
Yeah.
Jesse mastered the shit out of that album.
Yeah.
We might have put more time into that album than we had with any other one before or since.
Yeah.
But what are some of your memories of making that album? That's an album that I really think holds up 20 years later.
Yeah, I was just listening to it today when I was texting you.
Mhm.
I was just listening to it today, and I was like, this is like, I was telling my wife, I was like, come listen to this. This is 20
good.
years ago.
Right.
That was dope back then. Like, I remember 10-hour studio sessions. I remember ordering pizza in the studio. I remember having YO and those guys come.
3D, yeah.
Yeah. And they were there. They were at one of our marathon sessions also.
Right. Yeah, because they're on a handful of songs.
Yeah, it was just all day, all night that we were in there. Yeah, I remember that. So I do want to say this about the recording back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Is when we did it on the karaoke machine, and how many years did we record on a karaoke machine? A lot.
3 years. Yeah.
There was no messing up.
No,
If you
one
messed
take.
up,
You started over.
you started over.
No punches.
Like, you might have killed your verse,
Right.
and then I do mine,
Fuck it
and
up.
I screwed up. So we got to redo the whole thing, and that happened all the time. And then, oh damn, what's his name? The guy you lived with.
Jeff, dehydrated water.
Yeah, dehydrated water. That's
Yeah. Jeff Raholic was his name.
Yeah, Jeff Raholic. he was big into the computers. He got us all set up to record on the computer. And I remember you and I like fighting with this thing. We're trying to record songs. It ends up being 2 or 3 in the morning, and we're just fighting with this computer trying to record this song. We ended up saying, fuck it. Drove to Sheboygan to a Walmart that was open 24 hours, bought blank tapes, drove back to your trailer, and recorded like 2 or 3 songs on the karaoke machine that morning. Like because we didn't know what the hell we were doing.
Right.
So when I went to studio to do the Hurricane album, then I screwed up. I was like, like everybody's gonna have to redo their verse. And Jesse's like, no, like you can just do yours over. I was like, oh, well, that's cool. And then I did part of it and I screwed up. And he's like, well, we can just punch you in. And I was like, I don't know what that means. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And he like, well, you just rap over yourself to where you're good and then just keep rapping and I'll piece it together. I'm like, this, it's like cheating. Like, you don't have to, no, you got to rap it perfectly all the way through and you got to keep the mic right here.
Right. You can't get high.
You can't bob your head. You can't do any of that stuff because then it'll sound stupid.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's what I remember about from going to from the karaoke machine to going the Hurricane album in the studio.
Think of it. It was kind of like boot camp. By the time we got to a real studio, we're so damn polished. You couldn't fuck up. I mean, people don't realize that it was one take. Those first 4 or 5 albums, 3, 4 albums, one take shit.
Yeah,
it's nuts. Yeah. But that Hurricane album,
we left because we're like,
oh, I ain't doing that again. Yeah, little things, right?
Right. 98% of it was cool. So
fuck it.
Let it go.
So my voice cracked a little bit. I meant to do that.
Right.
So the Hurricane album also was the first time we did a song with Tracklacer and Boo, who were a group at the time.
Yeah.
And I remember, I was deep now into the Milwaukee scene. A couple years before that, with Rearrange, I'd really immersed myself in it and met them, but I'd never worked with them. And I can remember bringing them in to do a song. We brought in Ted Jew to do a song. We were really bringing in the local talent. And, when I look back on it, that Hurricane album really was like a turning point. Like we had done that early shit. And then I had hooked up with Slang and done Rearranged. It took it to a new level. And I was doing shows and all this shit. But then we kind of turned the page with a Hurricane and brought in a new chapter, which was who all ultimately became 1848 because Double C was on the Hurricane album. Yep. You introduced me to him. And I mean, it really was a page turner, which puts me into shortly after that, we did the 1848 album. Looking back, the group of you, me, Slangston Hughes, Tracklacer, Fat Daddy Boo, Ted Jew, and originally Double C was on, but he was taken off. Looking back, I don't even know if at the time I realized what a great collective. I mean, that we were like the Midwest Wu-Tang, almost like that was a dope group. I mean, that's another album that holds up. The main songs on that 1848 album are dope. I mean, some of the best stuff we did.
Yeah. No, and like if we do an album tomorrow, besides Ted Jew, rest in peace, all those guys I think would still be on it.
Absolutely, yeah.
We made connections that are lasting 20 years now.
Mm-hmm.
That it's awesome. I had so much fun working with all those guys, and not just the 1848 album, but every album we have done, every album we've done since then. And in between the Hurricane and 1848, they're on. One of those guys that you mentioned is on every album that we've done.
Oh, easily, yeah.
And it was so dope to, be so impressed by their skills and want to, elevate yourself to catch up to them, and and watch everybody grow throughout the years in their craft.
Right. Yeah, the talent was crazy. I mean, in that group. And everyone was a little bit different. It really was. Everyone had their own style, their own flavor. But I mean, looking back at 1848, and we had started recording a follow-up, but it was never released, which is a shame. But that 1848 group was great. And kind of speaking on that, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, but I know we had joked about it before, where I was always bringing in new rappers into the studio, like I was adopting everyone like I was their dad. But what are some one or two memories of me bringing someone through, whether it was good or bad? Any funny stories you remember? Because I had this idea that I was gonna build 101st and have a roster like No Limit and all this shit. So
I was there with you. I was into it. Like, let's get all these people. The most people we had on a posse track was almost 20, 18 or something. Like,
right. It was more than 15. Crazy. Right.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was a crazy day.
Yeah, everyone came. Yeah, they weren't mailing in verses. They were at the fucking studio.
Right.
Jesse's freaking out like, dude, you're bringing all these people here.
Right. Driving from Ohio or wherever to come and get on these tracks. Like, what were those guys' names?
Murder
Mistas, yeah.
They were from Ohio. Yep.
Yeah. And they got on it. It was, that was a crazy memory. And then what else? Ask the question again.
Just stories about people, every studio session I was probably bringing in someone new or telling you about someone new.
Sure.
Some were good, some were bad.
Yeah. So Gross Money was
this is a good story.
I knew you would remember that. And I don't know where this guy is or what he's doing.
No idea.
I'm not trying to say anything bad about this guy, because it's not like that. It's just a funny story.
Mm-hmm.
But he came in and he was so angry. In every verse he did, he was so angry. And he'd punch in every line. And Jesse was going crazy. Jesse was like, what the fuck, Chris? Like, why you fucking bring this fucking guy in here? He was so mad.
He's always yelling at me about people. It's like, who the hell is this guy?
Right. And they didn't want a bunch of people in there because they were worried about things going missing. Blah, blah, blah. And you would bring in everybody.
Right. I know. It's amazing the number of people I brought through them doors.
Yeah. But, we made a ton of great connections, ones that have lasted this long, ones that faded away, ones that ended in, fuck you, well, fuck you too, It's been a great ride, man. And I do have to thank you for that. You put in all that work to bring these people in.
Oh, I lived it. My goal was to connect with it. Be so knowledgeable, at least in the Midwest hip hop scene. I mean, I knew what was happening in all the states.
Yeah.
And, kind of to sidetrack, back in the day when we were just pressing up CDs, there was no selling on the internet. We would go to record stores and put the albums in there on consignment.
Yeah.
So like you give someone 5 albums, they sell it for $10. The store keeps 5, I get 5. So I knew where like every record store was in Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan. I went down to Cincinnati, to Iowa and Omaha, because we had connections there. Yeah. I mean, the amount of record stores I had stored in my head, is just mind blowing. You know, when I look back, it's amazing how deep I was into it. I mean, mid 40s, Chris could never do that again. It'd be too much fucking work.
Well, I remember going to the what was that? What was the place in Milwaukee we went to all the time? And they would
Oh,
move.
Scratch Pad, or the one across from the mall.
Well, they would move all the time because they never pay their rent. So they
that's Scratch Pad.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a dope store, though.
Yeah, we'd have to go find where they were at and check them out. And that's where, like, I first heard of DJ Rectangle.
Right. Yeah, they always had the dopest mixtapes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually
was your cousin? Was that the guy who started the boombox?
Yeah.
Yeah. And working there and getting all the CDs and, you know, going through them before we put them on the shelves to see what was dope.
When we first opened the boombox, we ordered this shipment of like 10,000 CDs. So this semi comes with pallets of fucking CDs. I can remember
forklifts. You got a way to get it all.
I can remember sitting there all night going through these CDs, but I loved it because I loved that shit. You know, it was like a big.
I remember sitting in that empty store with boxes going through CDs.
Yeah.
We didn't have shelving yet. We didn't have any of that stuff. We just going through CDs and got a stack that I want to keep and the stack for the store.
You know, another funny side story is, so I hung every once in a while, because I collect Ice-T merchandise, and anyone out there, if you can find someone, I can't find anyone on the internet with an Ice-T collection remotely as big as mine. Oh, there's got to be someone, but I can't find them. But on eBay, I'll punch in, then go to highest price to see if there's anything super rare I don't have. Well, the other day, there was this Subway poster, an Ice-T Subway poster that was only put up in London, or might have been UK, but they put them in the subways in London. And I had that poster and I hung it up in the boombox. And when the boombox closed, it got ripped in half. That fucking poster sold for $2,200.
Oh no!
I hung it up in that fucking store. And I had never seen another one since I had it until I found that one on eBay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That made me a little sad, but
yeah.
Well, going back to, you know, bringing artists through the door, who were some of your favorite artists that we ever brought through to work with? Who were you most impressed? Who was the most fun? Who do you think was the most talented as far as people we worked with?
Yeah, you know, like Teju, Track Laser, Fat Daddy Boo, Double C, you know, Slang, all those people that we were super tight with, you know, those were the people that Surreal, the rest of Noise Wave, you know, all those people we were super tight with were the most fun because we got to work with them a lot.
Right.
You got to be there, you know, they got to be not just, hey, blah, 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 we're going to do this song and maybe I'll chat with you sometime. Like they were there at, you know, 75% of our studio sessions. One of those people were there with us.
Mm-hmm.
We got, you know, they're friends. They're, you know, till this day, they're friends, you know,
right.
Those were the people that were the most fun, you know. I do remember Slang and Track Laser going into the booth and me just being like crazy impressed, you know, and Boo going into the booth and being crazy impressed. Teju going into the booth and being like, oh, yeah.
That was unique.
His own style. Yeah, he had his own style.
He was ahead of his time, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Double C going in and being, you know, so naturally talented.
You know, out of all the amazing MCs I've ever worked with, Double C had the most natural raw talent. Because I can remember you bringing him to me and I was like, holy shit, if we can mold this and form it, this guy would be, he just had a natural flow. He has a natural flow.
Yeah,
I mean, crazy impressed with him when you brought him
Yeah.
to my attention. Like, yeah, this guy's coming to studio. We're working on shit.
Yeah.
But like you said, with people like Track Lacer and Slang and all them guys, I really think we pushed each other because I felt the same way. Like, I can't come with some whack verse after Slang
Right.
kills it.
Right.
And I really got that when I started working with him on Rearranged. On the first Rearranged album, I rewrote a couple of verses because I was like, shit, people are already gonna look at me funny because I'm the white dude in the group, right?
Right.
I can't be whack too.
Right.
That can't happen.
Right.
But it pushed our game up.
Right.
I still think, looking back personally, that the years from like 99 to 2005 were my best writing years. Like, I just felt I was always on top of my game because I felt we had to be,
Right.
such
Well,
competition.
and we just did it and did it and did it and did it. Like, now, well, not even just now, but we would get to a point where we would, do an album, a couple of years would go by, we'd do another album. Those years you're talking about, we were putting out 2 albums a year.
Easy.
We were just pounding it out.
Yeah.
We would go to studio 3 times and do a whole album.
Yeah, those
And
power sessions, like you
right,
talked about, 10 hours, 12 hours. Yeah.
right. And we were just on top of it. So you had that practice all the time, and just that's what I remember about it. Like writing a verse now, I probably haven't written anything in a while.
Right.
And, it'd probably take me a couple times now, and take me a little bit. All right, that was okay, but I can do it better.
Yeah, we lived in that studio. If we weren't doing that, we were at shows or promoting.
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite show memories? I know some of my favorite show memories was going out to Omaha, working with Surreal and Noise Wave. There was a venue in Omaha called the Ranch Bowl, and Noise Wave would sell this shit out. I mean, they were, it was amazing. I mean, those crowds were the best I probably ever performed for. But just in general, what do you name a couple good show memories you have?
So the Omaha shows were crazy. Those were the craziest shows I had ever been to. I remember going to the record store in the mall in Omaha and seeing Noise Wave had their own stand there, and there not being a CD on that stand.
They were huge. Yeah.
Right. And I was like, we know these guys. Like this is cool. Like, yeah. So the Ranch Bowl and the Waiting Room was another one there that we would do. Those were the biggest crowds that I remember. And
crazy after parties.
I could tell crazy stories about crazy things, and no, we don't need to do all that with all that. But a show that really sticks out to me was one that we headlined at the zoo in Sheboygan. And I remember we did a set first, and then we had a few people do sets, and then we did a set at the end. And by the time we did our set at the end, it was jam-packed in there. And I had never headlined a show that was jam-packed like that. I remember walking out to go smoke a cigarette, and it just, you couldn't, I had to be, excuse me. Like a lot of the shows we did, and there was more artists than there was fans. Like, that's probably the coolest show that I thought we did. We did all kinds of weird shows. We did the one at the country bar. Remember that? Where behind us was the wall of fame. So there was the stage, and then behind that was this wall of fame that had all these pictures up on it of people with their big bass fish and all their trash character, and like I remember walking in there and being like, what the fuck? Like, all right, and there's people sitting at the bar with their cowboy hats on. I'm like,
I don't
oh,
remember this at all.
no,
No, I don't remember it.
no, I think it was in Sheboygan.
Really?
Yeah, I
So
think
many shows.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But by the end of the night, all those people in their cowboy hats were square dancing to what we were rapping about. And we
That's
had
crazy.
to do a bunch of sets because you invited a bunch of people up from Milwaukee. I remember them walking in and then
And
turning
walking out.
around and walk out and not even do it. So we had to do a bunch because we had to fill this space.
Right.
And so we're just winging it. We're like, all right, you got that beat, and we're just doing that. But we're rocking it by the end of the night.
There's really no feeling when you win over a crowd. I
Yeah.
mean, I can remember the first time truly winning over a crowd was during the first Rearrange days. And we're at this spot called the Tasting Room. I'm sure you performed there because I used to do shows there all the time. But saying one of my punchlines, and the dude in the audience who, had no idea who I was, laughing and hitting his buddy and telling him what I said. And I'm still doing my verse, but at the same time in my head going, holy shit, something that came out of my head, this dude thinks is cool.
Right.
I'm not the only one who thinks that's cool.
Right.
But yeah, if a venue would book me, I didn't give a fuck what it was, because it's new ears, it's more practice on stage.
Right.
So what do you enjoy more, being on stage or being in the vocal booth?
I guess I don't know. I would say being in the vocal booth because I'm creating then. I'm making it then. What I've written down, what I've put all of this work into to get how I feel out and make it rhyme and make it sound good and scratch this line out and draw this arrow and all that work. I get to create it. I get to leave and listen to it. The stage is, I get to give something to this crowd and I get to get something back from this crowd. So I guess I would say the creating part of it, the studio part of it, but I love doing live shows too. Like if I could go on tour and do all that stuff, that'd be awesome. Probably not right now in my life. I think I'm a little past that. It would be super hard to turn down, but
right.
But back then, I would have done it. I would have been all into it because I love doing shows. I remember every show that I've done, the next day waking up saying, I want to do that again.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to do that show again. Like, can we do it again tonight? Like even the last show that we did at the Tower,
we killed it. Yeah, the reunion show.
2 years ago,
3 years ago. Yeah, it was right before I moved.
Yeah, I woke up the next day like, yeah, I want to do that again. That was fun.
Right.
So, yeah, I would say the creating it part, but yeah, I love the shows too.
Do you have a favorite album from 101st? Favorite song, favorite verse? If you could pick a handful of each of those.
Yeah. Well, my favorite album is the 20 Years in the Making. I can't believe we got to do a song with Isham, Recognize, Cam, EA Ski. Like, I can't believe I listened to it today and I'm like, no, EA Ski killed it on that song.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
And then I get to rap after him, and I'm not half bad either. Like this is pretty cool. I like it. So, and I think if you would have asked me 10 years ago, what's your favorite album that you've done, I would have said my newest album.
Right.
I always think my favorite album I've ever done is my newest one because it's the closest to where I am in my life. because I'm not a rapper that talks about cars and bling and blah blah blah, because I
You
don't
don't
have
have
it.
none, right?
I rap about what I feel, and that is why, like All That's Left is probably one of my favorite verses.
Yeah.
Better Man is probably one of my favorite verses. All of that stuff where I'm rapping about what's deep in my heart and getting it out and saying, hey, like, I want to be a better man for the people that are around me, like stuff like that. Those
Right.
are the verses that stick out to me.
Talking about the bigger names that we worked with, whether it was on songs like you talked about, the Eshams, the EA Skis, the Cams, or whether it was shows like
Don't forget Chino XL. Like Chino XL has worked with us forever. I can't
right. Oh
can't
yeah.
forget about that dude.
No, not at all. Crazy talented, and
Right.
it's amazing. I can sidebar. You and I went out and met with Chino XL in Hollywood in 2004-ish, and I struck up a friendship with him there, and I worked with him ever since. And he's probably the most talented lyricist I've ever heard.
Uh-huh.
But if we weren't working with them, whether it was not only our shows, but let's say we just, if we weren't in the studio or we didn't have a show, we'd be going to hip hop shows. I mean, it's amazing how much, whether it was funny stories like Jazzy Faye giving us a promo CD, or
Right. We thought we were famous then.
being backstage and talking hip hop with dudes from Atmosphere, and all these things. It really, we did pretty good for ourselves. I mean,
Right.
yeah, we didn't sell a million records, but we did more than the average underground artist ever does.
Man, and we did it for the right reasons, and we get to talk about it 20 years later. We get to
We survived
reminisce
it.
on it.
Yeah.
It's I would have loved to have been going on shows and making all this money and blah blah blah, like,
Right.
but that is never why I started. That is never,
Not at all, yeah.
that was never, this driving factor of it. It was always, because I had things to say and I had this passion for it, and we made it happen for a lot of years, and it was well worth it.
Oh, yeah.
Still is well worth it. I I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it. Maybe I would.
One or two things.
Well, you could have been famous and gone and done all this stuff and be sitting in a mansion right now. Well,
Hard to pass
maybe,
up.
maybe I'd give it a shot.
Right.
But no, like I would have never imagined when we started where we had gone.
Right.
Never imagined watching Mayday at a show and then doing a song with Recognize 2
Right.
weeks later. Like that's crazy to me. That blows my mind every time I think of it. Bumping EA Ski for however many years and then getting to do a song with him.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Right.
Fucking amazing. Yeah.
Right. And he kills it on the song that he does with
Mhm.
us. It's no
He didn't
garbage.
nail in the verse, right? Yeah.
Right.
Famous people could do that. Be like, just give you something.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't trade it for anything. I love it. I'm happy with what it has been. I'm happy where we're at. Like I think it's more than I ever could imagine.
There's two people that unfortunately didn't get to make it this far that were super close to us. Ted Jew, who we lost about 6 years ago, and Jesse, who we lost about a year ago. Just touch on, what some memories about each of them, your thoughts on them as not only co-workers in music, but, both of them I considered my friend just because the hours we spent together. They're almost more like brothers,
Yeah.
in my mind. But just touch on them. I really want to bring them up because they were a big part of our puzzle.
Yeah. Oh, Ted, like you said, Ted, was my brother. Like I don't know, man. I miss that dude, man. I've missed him for a long time. When his wife called me and told me that he had passed away, I left work. I couldn't work. He was a friend of mine, like not just a guy I rapped with. He was a friend
Right.
of mine. Like we had him and I had a special bond, because we would, because we were the weed smokers.
Right. Right.
Him and I, every studio session, every show, every party, every whatever, we'd find each other, twist up a blunt, and
Right.
we, sit outside of the band center, puffing this blunt, talking about everything, talking
Mhm.
about life, and to see how he turned his life around and turned it to God, those last few years, like how strong he was for that. And it just crazy impressed, and left too soon. And the world is a sadder place with that guy not around. His smile, his energy, his everything, he didn't have a bad word to say about anybody.
Nicest
It's
guy I ever met. Like
Yeah,
honestly,
no,
nicest guy I ever met. Yeah.
it's sad, man. I know he looks down on us. I know he's watching us right now, and I know he's happy where he's at. I know, he he knew he was going to heaven. He knew he was going to be there watching down on everybody. I think that yeah, I miss him for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. I think about him, multiple times a week yet.
Yeah.
Uh,
And then as far as Jesse, man, like I've never recorded a song in the studio without Jesse.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know who to go to. I don't know who to use for engineer. Just like when you were here and we were listening to beats, and we hear something dumb in the beat, and I automatically go, Jesse can fix that.
Right,
Well,
because they did.
right. He was a wizard with this stuff. He would take a little piece and with another little piece and be able to get them together, and he would hear some click that I've listened to 100 times. I never heard this click.
Right.
But he'd hear it and he'd get it to fade out and fade back in at the right spot and play the beat through, and you never know.
Hmm.
It's it's I don't know how I'm gonna record a song without Jesse. It's gonna be hard.
Right.
So,
He was our only engineer except for on few occasions for 20 years. I
right.
mean,
Right. He wouldn't be there, and Mike, or he'd be sick and Mike
right.
or something. Yeah, I guess. But I never
98% of the time, right?
I never liked that though. No
No,
offense to Mike and no
no,
offense to the
no.
rest of the band center. But I also didn't like working in Studio C. I wanted Studio B all the time.
Right.
Like
I felt the same way, man. I felt the same way.
yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be hard. I I'll miss Jesse for sure in the studio for sure, and
Mhm.
I miss Ted Jew, often.
Yeah. I recently came across some pictures that I put on Facebook. You probably saw that was a session from like 2004,
Yeah,
and it was me, you, Slang, Teju, and Jesse. And to think that, two of the people at that session aren't here anymore. It's crazy when you start outliving your friends. It's nuts,
yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah, for me to go into the booth and not hear dun 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 dun,
Right.
hurricane dun 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 dun, like that, he said 100% of the time. Every time I
Right.
walk, it doesn't matter if it was hour 11. Dun 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 dun, like
Me, it
because
was Chris Bonsai.
yeah, because that was that beat in the hurricane song.
Mm-hmm.
Dun-dun-dun-dun, like the hurricane, dun-dun-dun-dun, like
Mm-hmm.
he'd say it all the time. Then he'd
Right.
sit there with his guitar and strum his guitar to the beat and
Right.
make up some random shit. And a lot of the times we're like, go in the booth and do that.
Right.
What,
Looking back, he's actually on a lot of hooks and
he
songs of
is.
ours. I
Yeah,
mean, we even got him
he's
to
on
spit
every album.
Oh, easily, yeah.
Yeah.
We even got him to spit an 8-bar verse on a song.
Yeah.
Skibbity dip, don't trip. My name is Jesse.
Right. Not pop paw. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna start winding down, but
All right.
before we go, favorite rapper of all time. You can only listen to one MC for the rest of your life. Who are you listening to?
Oh, that's tough, man. Because I go through phases. Like, I think my favorite rapper is Ice Cube of all time, just because he's always been my favorite rapper, and he was my favorite rapper because I liked how he rhymed 8 bars in a row. That's what really,
Mm-hmm.
got me onto him. But right now, if I could only listen to one rapper for the rest of my life, it'd probably be Kevin Gates. I really like Kevin Gates. I really like, I like that he has the smooth hooks, and he is, real gangster in some of his songs, and that's really, who I listen to a lot now. Him and
Mhm.
Jelly Roll is probably the two people that I listen to most right now. So if someone came to me right now, you can only listen to one person, that's who I'd pick right now.
Mhm.
But
And similar question, you're on an island, you can only take 5 CDs with you. Which 5 are you bringing?
I don't know. Angelic is a dope CD.
That is a dope CD.
What Nas CD would I bring? So I would bring a Nas CD. Probably Illmatic. Just because
Classic.
I don't think there's a song you can skip on that CD.
No, classic 5 mics.
That's 2. I would bring 20 Years in the Making. Just because, I think it's so dope we got to work with all those people.
Yeah, if you think about it, the more I think about it, EA Ski, Cam, Recognized from Mayday, Chino XL, did I say Isham?
No,
Isham, Mastermind, Dice.
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually amazing. The
Right.
features we got on there.
That you and I have done songs with these people.
Right.
You know how many years we drove around in the tracker, bumping
Isham, yeah.
And now we got to do a song. That's crazy.
It is crazy.
So that's 3. I'm not exactly sure of all of the Kevin Gates albums. I have a bunch of them, but they're all on MP3. So if I could make a mixtape of Kevin Gates, I would take that also. I don't know. And then what would be my 5th album? I'm sure I'm gonna miss something. And Eminem's super dope. Maybe, Curtain. What's the one with Superman on it and those?
Eminem Show?
Eminem Show.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'd probably take that one.
That ain't a bad choice.
Yeah. If you ask me tomorrow, I'd probably hit the first couple and then change
Right.
the last 2 also.
I'll be the same way.
Yeah.
It's an almost impossible task, but
Yeah. But I
So
think I'll be all right with that if you.
shit, Angelic, that's a good pick
Yeah.
because I that's probably still my favorite Tech Nine album.
Yeah, for sure.
I really like Absolute Power, but yeah, Angelic is almost flawless.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do this segment on each of my interviews where I'm going to name a rapper and you got to give me your first thought that comes to your head. Good, bad. It can be a description. It can be a color. It can be a song. The first thing that comes to your head when I say this rapper's name.
Okay.
Rapid fire. Okay.
Rapid fire.
Ice Cube.
Today was a good day.
Puff Daddy.
Uh-huh. Whatever.
Poison Clan.
JT Money.
KRS-One.
God.
Bushwick Bill.
Short.
2 Live Crew.
Booty bass. What? Like let's go.
The call and response. Yeah. The Luke. The same cadence and everyone. Yeah. Exhibit.
Relentless. The
Restless.
Restless. Yeah.
That's another 5 mic. I mean, that whole album is dope from front to back.
I was just listening to it yesterday.
That's a good album. That's a good album.
Yeah.
No doubt. Vanilla Ice.
Ice baby.
Gross Money.
Can't be a crutch.
Tech Nine.
Orange hair.
Wow. Double C.
Friend. Brother.
Lil Jon.
Yeah. Everybody's gonna say yeah.
Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Baby Got Back. I know I'm just naming songs, but that's what comes to my head, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Missy Elliott.
Not icon, but like what's the right word? Trendsetter. She paved a a great path for women in hip hop. Like there was Eve, and there was these people that came before her, but I think she really opened the door up to women in hip hop. As far as when I listen to her, in my eyes, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Busta Rhymes.
Dreadlocks.
Lil Kim.
That album cover where she's half naked. That's what comes to mind.
I think that's every album cover.
Maybe.
Remember, I had a poster of Lil Kim in that trailer.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like crouching down, half naked.
Yeah.
And one more, MCAK.
Brother, man, friend.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Always,
we could do a 50-hour interview, so I'm definitely going to have you back, but I'm really trying to keep these down to an hour.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to, any pluggables? If you want to, where can people get at you? Social media, anything you want to plug? You don't have to. I'm just giving everyone
I
an
don't. I
opportunity.
just want to say, to you and to everybody I've worked with, and everybody I've ever done a song with, or cross paths in this rap game. Like I love all of you. Like I am so appreciative of everybody giving me the time of day in this rap thing. I watched the interviews with you and Rip Black and Double C and Rip Black, and you guys mentioning my name, and that's it means the world to me. It makes my heart feel good. I to Track Lacer and Boo and Slang and everybody. It's just surreal, and the rest of Noise Wave, and I just thank everybody so much for just giving me the time of day. I might have not always been the best. I might have not always been on beat all the time. I might have, and just, no one ever putting me down. And, I value our time together so much. So
I really believe it was like a family atmosphere, the core people in that. It really was a family atmosphere.
For sure.
Like you said, I wouldn't trade those days for anything. I
Yeah.
mean, it's really amazing to look back on. I almost think I should have appreciated it more when it was happening. I was still focused on what we were doing to really soak it in, but hey, we're here to tell the tale.
Right.
I'm definitely going to have you back on. Guest number 1. Hopefully I make it to show 2.
Yeah, you will, man. I think you did a great job, man. It's you flowed through the questions. You knew what they asked next. I think you got something here for sure.
Well, know what I did is I did some interviews on my karaoke machine where I couldn't screw up.
Yeah,
it made me better when I got on the real deal.
It's science, man. It's science.
It's proven. All right, congratulations on your new daughter, kid number 2.
Thank you.
But we are now signing off. Peace.
Don't make it hard or pretend. Grace amended all that's left of you and I, of you and
All that's left when I take my last breath is the memory I left and how peaceful I rest. Did I do my best to make the world a better place, or do I need to confess my sins to a higher space? I try to make a case, I've got a reason for each one. I didn't misguide people and refuse to teach some. Try to preach some when I had something to gain and came up with nothing. I needed to make a change, but it wasn't that plain. There's lots of flavors of life, lots of different paths to know which one is right. Just go home at night and analyze the day's actions, like rewinding the tape and being surprised what happened. Was my temper snapping? Did I keep it in check? Overthink every encounter, I'm becoming a wreck. Sit and drink on the deck and hope to have done my best, cause I want just smiles when ashes are all that's left.
You don't have to live my life or breathe my breath, so why is it the details of my life you sweat? Because all that's left, besides the pain, the misery, the tragedy, the death, is what I had when I stepped into this game, plus more, bruh. Never thought I'd be kicking with the roots on a tour bus, or shopping my demo beats to the 5-foot assassin. Now he rests in peace, but his presence not absent. At this point in my career, should be a has-been, but my passion keep me lasting on these whack rappers I'm blasting. No time for distractions, cause this world is drastic, so I'll fight with every bit of strength to make it happen. For my family I rep, cause that's all that's left. Not for Democrats, Republicans, or all that mess. Nah, I'm focusing on this new world order. Told y'all on Fam 2 that they were coming for us. What you got left?
I think of death so much, I forget to live. Become too selfish, I forget to give. Last time I was alive, said I'd never come back, and here I am, man, I'ma never come back. While still sipping air, gotta figure something out. Doesn't help anyone, hiding out to pout. Just losing everything, not trying to be a martyr, but dying is easy, living is harder. I wanna go farther, but weighed down by strife. Wanna leave this body, dream about the afterlife. All I got left is a bunch of broken dreams, a little brain damage and some faulty genes. My mom must have rode a tilted world were pregnant with me, cause my DNA is beyond faulty, all mixed up physically and mentally. All I got left is this final 16.